Hey guys, and welcome back to Quartz part 14, if I remember correctly. Like, there were so many episodes now, or parts, that I keep forgetting. But I just beat Pragmata, so I'm probably going to resume. Not like I disappeared that much from playing Quartz, but I'm going to probably return to the 1 week thing where I record every day until we finish this visual novel. Just like part 13 when I originally recorded it, this part is also pretty fucking like late in the night. But I only, decided to sit down this late and play because I am like pretty sure that this is going to be probably the shortest part. So without further ado, let's just begin. It's already this late. I should probably head back soon.
そうですね。最近は少しでも遅くなると親が心配しますし。
俺んちは親が共働きだからそうでもないけどな。
うちも。けど最近は行方不明事件とか多いから暗くなると怖いかも。あれ怖いよね。早く犯人が捕まればいいのに。
What's Hannen? As they chat inside the abandoned factory, the time to head home finally arrives. Everyone's trying to act nonchalant, but it's somehow clear that they are all feeling a little down. Oh yeah, tomorrow's Sunday. What everyone's doing?
そうだな。学校もないし、朝から集まろうぜ。
賛成。じゃあ明日はお昼にお弁当も持ってきましょうか。
That sounds great. Alright, Koto. Tomorrow we are sticking together from morning till night, got it?
みんなと一緒で嬉しい。
When I talk to her, Koto gives me a faint, gentle smile. She still has a bit of an awkward side, but it seems like her emotions have become more pronounced and easier to read. You could even say she's become more human. Alright, so everyone meet up here tomorrow morning, got it?
ね、スバルお兄ちゃん。姫、明日はちょっと用事があるの。
Oh, really?
明日ね、パパの付き添いでなんかの式典に出ないといけなくて。
A ceremony? What kind of ceremony is it anyway?
それってもしかして宇宙公園の鐘つき塔の？
Oh yeah.
あ、それ知ってる。うちの弁当屋にもその式典用の注文がどっさり来たって親が言ってたな。
I hope this isn't a foreshadowing that Hime's death that was the one getting killed.
そう、それ。だから夕方までこっちに来れないの。
Come to think of it, didn't you say something like that too, Tomo? This Sunday, which is tomorrow, the bell tower that was built in Space Park is supposed to be completed. And Hime's father apparently made a large donation to help build that bell tower. Let's just go there then. We have a program to attend to that. So the ceremony Hime was talking about is the completion ceremony for the bell tower, huh?
ああ、式典なんか行きたくないな。退屈そうだし、みんなと一緒に遊んでたいよ。確かに、私たちみたいな子供が参加しても、決して面白い行事ではなさそうですしね。私は隕石で作った鐘っていうのに興味あるけど、偉い人の長いお話とかはやっぱり嫌かも。
ま、せいぜい頑張れや。俺たちは朝からずーっとみんなで遊んでるけどな。
スバルお兄ちゃん、キョウくんがまた意地悪言うよ。
As usual, Kyo blurts out something unnecessary, and now Hime's coming to cry to me. It's usually my job to comfort Hime in situations like this. Well, I guess that's just how it is. Hey, you can come over here from tomorrow evening, right?
遅くなるかもしれないけど、絶対顔出すよ。
Alright, when Hime gets here, I play whatever game you want at that time.
本
Yeah, is that okay with you, Koto?
姫が来るの待ってるから。
When I brought it up, Koto nodded without hesitation. The others around us also seemed to be thinking it can't be helped, and were nodding in agreement.
やったー、スバラお兄ちゃん、コタちゃん、それにみんなもありがとう。よかった。これで姫も一緒、みんな一緒。
Watching Hime's innocent joy, Koto looked happy as if it was her own. Maybe Koto's mental age is already older than Hime's. As I watched the two of them, that's what I thought.
というわけで、ついにこの銀河の鐘楼が完成の日を迎えました。特に大きな特徴であります隕石を含んだ鐘の鋳造には、祭沢大学の十文字教授らにもご協力をいただきまして、
In front of the finally completed bell tower, the mayor is giving a long, drawn-out speech. Today's Sunday, and yet I'm stuck alone at the ceremony venue in Cosmic Park, feeling bored.
今頃みんなどうしてるかな。
It's almost noon, and I'm starting to get hungry. Come to think of it, didn't we say we were all going to bring our own lunches and eat together today? That sounds nice. I wish I could have eaten lunch with everyone too. As I was lost in thought, the ceremony continued to move forward, and finally it was time for the bell to be rung.
先ほども申しましたが、銀河の鐘楼の鐘にはこの宇宙公園で発見された隕石が含まれております。これは世界でも他に類を見ないものでして、世界に、いや、宇宙に一つしかない大変貴重なものです。
Maybe the bell being rang since it's from the meteorite where the Ishins came in, and since Koto is an Ishin, something is going to happen. Like, I try to be 2 steps ahead before every cliche or like every twist. This is how Ians work, but...
さあ、宇宙で一つだけの鐘は果たしてどんな音を奏でてくれるのでしょうか。いよいよ鳴らしてみたいと思います。
After the mayor's overtly dramatic explanation, the bell at the top of the bell tower finally began to swing back and forth. The sound of the bell resonated through the new symbol of Cosmic Park. No, through the air. My honest reaction to the sound was...
宇宙で一つとか言ってた割には全然普通でつまんない。
It isn't. I have a feeling. It wasn't a bad or unpleasant sound, but at the same time it wasn't particularly good or impressive either. I mean, it's not every day you get to see a bell like this up close, but once you get used to it, it's probably not that big of a deal.
皆様ご覧ください。そしてお聞きください。銀河の音が聞こえてくるようではありませんか。
Well, I think someone can.
ちなみにこの鐘は今日から1日2回、お昼と夕方に鳴らされることになっておりまして。
It was a Sunday. The 5 of us, minus Hime, had gathered at the abandoned factory since morning, messing around and having a good time. It was the most enjoyable time for us. I'm getting hungry. The time was just about to strike noon. We had gathered and started playing early in the morning, so it was no surprise that we were getting hungry sooner than usual.
それじゃ少し早いけどお昼にする？
よっしゃ弁当だ
I have a feeling a 0 to 100 scene is coming right up.
皆さん、お弁当は持ってきましたか？
Yeah, I got my usual onigiri, but today I actually remembered to put fillings in them.
私はいなり寿司を作ってきたんですよ。皆さんも食べてくださいね。
俺もいつもは残り物ばっかでことに悪いから、今日はうちの店で一番豪華な弁当を持ってきたぜ。
私はカロチンメイト全種類。
Huh? Why'd you bring carrot mates for lunch?
だってこれ栄養バランスもいいし、 それに食べやすくて美味しいんだよ。
だからってお前、昼飯にカロチンメイトはねえだろ。
ごめんなさい。
People eat what they want.
まあ
Fuck
まあ、
you.
いいじゃありませんか。早速みんなでいただきましょう。お腹ペコペコ。早く食べたい。
What she said, peckle peckle. Koto, a big eater, gazed at the colorful bentos with sparkling eyes. By the way, I don't know why like Japanese ended up having to name every word like a cute word. Like even dick is ochinchin, which is like so unserious. Like, I mean, peku peku is probably a childish way to say I'm hungry. I don't think like Koto would say, "Oh, what does you want, peku peku?" Which doesn't even make sense grammatically, because I just say that like, I am hungry. Hi hungry, I'm dead. They spread out a leisure sheet on the abandoned factory floor and arranged the bentos on it. The bentos everyone had brought were prepared with the intention of sharing, and when combined they formed a substantial amount of food. But with Koto around, there probably wouldn't be any leftovers anyway. Oh, Kyo's bento is delicious as always. It looks even more luxurious than usual too.
当たり前だろ。ほら、コトも食えよ。
マリマリ食う。
無理無理。
私が作ってきたいなり寿司もどうぞ。それじゃあ私が。
I thought she was like, in that case, have some of my carrot tomato. Huh? What's wrong, Tomo? You are frozen up or something?
甘い。すごく甘いよ。甘くて美味しいでしょ。甘すごる。
What's with it too sweet? It seems that the flavor was so intense that it even inspired Tomo to create a new linguistic expression. And so on, they all chattered and laughed together, enjoying a delightful lunch. Until that sound reached their ears. Ha! I told you. Koto? Huh? Do you guys hear something?
多分鐘つき塔の鐘の音じゃないかな。へえ、こんな
Koto?
ところまで聞こえてくるんですね。
ま、でも案外普通の音だよな。隕石がどうとか言ってた割には。
Isn't this like Venom, where like, oh my god, this is continuous loop? This is like Venom, where just like, you are going to become an amoeba again, no? Koto, what's wrong? Hey, Koto! Koto's behavior is clearly off. One moment she was pale as a ghost, and the next she was clutching her head in agony. The suddenness of it all had us on the verge of panic.
コト、なんだよ、一体どうしたってんだ？
コトちゃん、大丈夫ですか？どこか痛いの？お腹、どうしよう。
What's going on with Koto? Why is this happening all of a sudden? We stood there flustered and at a loss, faced with Koto's distress. What was really going on anyway? Koto had never complained of being unwell before, so this was completely out of the blue. Koto, hang in there. Where does it hurt? Hey, the pain will go away. It will fly away. The pain will disappear. It will fly away. I couldn't do anything else, so I just kept calling out to Koto, worried sick about her. I wonder how long that lasted. Okay. Are you alright? Maybe it didn't actually feel that long and not as much time had passed as I thought. But for Koto and for me, that time felt like an eternity, as if time itself had come to a standstill. Koto?
大丈夫。
But every afternoon from now on, you are going to get drowned. Like, thrown to madness.
ほんとか？無理してんじゃねえだろうな。
きょうくん、あまり大声出さないでください。コトちゃんの体に触るかもしれないでしょ。
ああ、悪い、つい。
コトちゃん。
Koto finally seems to have calmed down, but just looking at her it's clear she is exhausted. But what's most troubling is that we have no idea what caused Koto's sudden illness. Koto said she was fine, but just to be safe, we decided to let her rest for a while. And so, we took the opportunity to regroup and reassess the situation. The reason for Koto's sudden illness was still unknown, and even Koto herself didn't seem to understand what had happened. But if Koto really is sick, what are we supposed to do? We all have a vague idea that Koto isn't a normal person, so we can just carelessly take her to see a doctor. And even if we did take her to a doctor, there's no guarantee they'd be able to treat her anyway. But Koto's life is priceless, so if it comes down to it, we'll have to take a chance and take her to a doctor, no matter what.
みんないる？やっと式典が終わって帰ってこれたよ。あれ、スバルお兄ちゃん？それにみんなも。
As we discussed this and that, the day wore on and the sun began to set, and by the time everyone had grown tired and fallen silent. Just as she had said the day before, Hime arrived late at the abandoned factory.
あ、姫ちゃん、お帰りなさい。姫ちゃん。ちょっと、一体どうしちゃったの？なんでみんなそんなに元気ないの？
Hime noticed that something was off about us and started asking questions, trying to figure out what was going on. To be honest, I'm not even sure myself, but I at least needed to explain the situation to Hime. Hey, listen, actually... Just then, it could be heard again, faintly from a distance. The sound of a bell, the same sound I heard earlier in the day, the sound of the bell from the bell tower, a completely ordinary bell sound and... Koto! Damn it, not again!
え？何？コトちゃんどうしちゃったの？
コト、大丈夫か？また苦しいのか？そうなんだな。
どうして？原因は一体。コトちゃんが大変だよ。姫ちゃん、落ち着いて。あなたが泣いたって、なんで。
Koto, please hang in there for me. We surrounded Koto, who had started struggling again, and desperately tried to encourage her. But in the end, all we could do was try to encourage her, and it didn't seem like that was going to ease Koto's suffering at all. And then, after a while, just like earlier, Koto gradually began to calm down again. The groans of pain subsided, and eventually her breathing slowed to a peaceful rhythm. Koto, have you calmed down?
今はもうなんともない。あ、コトちゃん。
くそ、なんだってんだよ。どうしてコトがあんなに苦しまなくちゃならないんだ。
確かに変ですよね。今までこんなことなかったのに、どうして急に。
With Koto's feet subsiding, we breathed a sigh of relief, at least for the time being. But we still had no idea what was happening, and our inability to grasp this situation left us feeling helpless and at a loss.
ちょっといいかな。
What's up, Tomo?
私気づいたんだけど、もしかしたら単なる偶然かもしれないけど。
なんだよ。もったいぶらずにはっきり言えよ。
最初の1回目とさっきの2回目、どっちも鐘の音が聞こえてから起きてるの。
See, thank God someone has a smart girl on our team. The sound of the bell. You mean the bell tower one?
そう。それでコトちゃんの発作が収まるのも、その鐘の音が止んでからだったの。
Then could it be... To my question that couldn't be put into words, Tomo told, looking uncertain, nodded slightly.
コトちゃんが苦しむのって、もしかしたら、あの鐘の音のせいじゃないかな。
From that day on, twice a day at noon and evening, the bell of the bell tower began to ring throughout the town. And just as Tomo said, Koto suffered each time. Setting aside the evenings, no one can be by Koto's side during weekday afternoons. Even if someone could be there in the end, they wouldn't be able to do anything for her. How about, giving her noise-cancelling headphones? Was that not an option back then? 2009? I had never felt my own helplessness this strongly. It is probably certain that the reason Koto is in pain is the sound of that bell. But even though we are fine, why does Koto feel distressed? This has never happened before. Hey, what do you think, Tomo?
私にもよくわかんないけど。
One day, I asked Tomo about that. Then Tomo, still looking unsure as expected, tells me her hypothesis.
多分、あの鐘付き塔の鐘は、普通の人には聞こえない音を出してるんじゃないかな。
I've heard of something like that. Could it be that thing called ultrasound?
うん。その超音波、普通の人には聞こえない音が、コトちゃんにとっては苦手な音だったとしたら
So that's the cause of Koto's fit. Or pain. Koto has never had a seizure from other sounds. At least that's been the case until now. Yes, until that bell tower was completed. I haven't actually tried it, so I don't know for sure, but I don't think Koto is probably bad with the sound of bells. The thing I'm bad at is probably just the sound of that bell in the bell tower. That bell, the only one of its kind in the universe, said to contain a meteorite, is the only thing tormenting Koto. The sound of the bell echoes relentlessly, through the town twice a day. Every day, without fail, the bell continues to ring. And Koto seemed to be growing weaker by the day. As the sun set that day, the bell in the bell tower rang, after Koto's seizure had subsided. I'm worried about Koto's condition, but I can't just stay at the abandoned factory forever, so I'm heading home. At least until noon tomorrow, the bell shouldn't ring and cause Koto any trouble. But if things keep going like this, I don't know how it's going to turn out. What on earth am I supposed to do? By the time I reached my house, it was already completely dark outside. And on the way home, I kept thinking of every possible way to break out of this situation. And so far, I can only think of one way to do it. I guess there's really no other choice but that, huh? But is that even possible? With my mind full of worries, I slipped through the front door of my house. I'm home.
スバルか？遅かったな。
Wait, Dad? When I walked into the dining room, I unexpectedly ran into Dad. Dad still hardly ever comes home, so it's been a while since we last saw each other.
スバル、夕方までに家に帰るよ。前にも言っただろ
I don't want to hear that from you, Dad.
う。なんだって？
Nah, never mind. Seeing my reaction, Dad didn't say anything more about it. I wonder if he feels guilty about hardly ever going home. On the one hand, I feel relieved, but on the other, I also feel a sense of loneliness. I just can't seem to come to terms with it.
まあ最近は例の連続失踪事件も鳴りを潜めていてな。そう神経質になることはないのかもしれん。
Really? I didn't know that. Lately, my mind's been completely occupied with the matter, so I haven't really been paying much attention to anything else.
だが犯人は未だに捕まっていない。事件が解決したわけじゃないんだ。だから母さんに心配かけないよう、なるべく早めに帰ってきなさい。
I'm a softie when it comes to my mom, so I just nodded obediently for the time being. Obediently, sorry. By the way, where's mom?
小鳥の部屋で泣いてる。
I see. Mom, I guess you still haven't gotten over it. But maybe that goes for me and Dad too. But to me, Kutu and our friends, Dad was just using work as an escape, while Mom was the only one who had nowhere to run from the reality of Kotori's death.
スバル。
Mom! Mom walked slowly into the dining room and didn't even glance at Dad. Slap me? The first thing she did was slap me across the face. I couldn't wrap my head around it for a moment and I just stood there in a daze.
もう外は真っ暗じゃない。こんな時間までどこ行ってたのよ。
That's...
いつも遅くならないようにって言ってるのに、どうして母さんの言うことが聞けないの。
Rather than getting angry, Mom was practically screaming and crying. I felt like saying a lot of things back, but when it came time to actually put them into words, nothing came out. So rubbing my aching, feverish cheek, I could do nothing but hang my head in silence.
スバル、なんとか言いなさい。黙ってちゃわからないでしょ。
母さんやめなさい。そんな言い方じゃ逆に何も言えなくなるだろう。
何よ、こんな時だけいい格好しないで。ろくに父親らしいことなんてしてないくせに。
いおり。
I was glad Dad stood up for me, but that just made Mom even more furious. And since Mom had a valid point, even Dad couldn't say a word.
あなたなんて、あの子が死んだ時も、死んでからも、家のことほったらかしじゃないの。あの子が死んでから、あの子が生きてたこの家で、私がどんな気持ちで過ごしてきたかも知らないで。
Because of his job as a detective, Dad rarely comes home. On the day my sister died, I was so busy with the investigation that I couldn't get in touch with her, and I didn't make it home until after the wake was over. I used to think my dad, a detective, was just plain cool, but ever since that happened, I had mixed feelings about my dad. The respect I feel for my father, who is a detective, but also the frustration I feel toward the father, who is always working and never pays attention to his family. And I'm sure Mom must have felt that way many times over.
せめて小鳥が死んで悲しんでる時くらい、私の家族のそばにいてほしかったのに。それなのに、あなたはちっとも家に帰ってきてくれなかったわ。どうしてなの？あなたにとっては私やスバルのことなんかもうどうでもいいって言うの？
違う、そうじゃない、そうじゃないんだ。
じゃあどうだって言うのよ。お願いだから教えてちょうだい。
それは刑事という仕事が俺が小鳥にしてやれる唯一のことだからだ。
Dad speaks with great gravity. But what Dad was saying was too vague, so I couldn't figure out what he really meant.
何よそれ。それってどういう意味なの？
これ以上は捜査の機密事項だから言えない。
こんな時でもまだ仕事の方が大事なの？
Kotori's death wasn't an accident. Once again, the mother flies into rage. The father says nothing in response. Watching the two of them, I sat alone, mourning my family which had been so completely transformed. My sister's death destroyed our family. and I couldn't do anything to stop my family from falling apart. Both when my sister died and after she died, I was completely helpless.
スバル、どこへ行くの？
待ちなさい、スバル。外はもう暗くて危ない。
I heard what Mom and Dad said, but their words didn't really sink in. I couldn't stand watching my parents fight anymore, so I just ran out of the house. As I ran alone down the street at night, I found myself thinking. I'm powerless, but what I can't forgive most isn't my powerlessness. It's the fact that I haven't done anything. I'm sick of being someone who can't do anything. That's why I have a strong desire to save those who are suffering. I couldn't do anything for her, not even for my little sister. And even now I'm still unable to do anything, not even for my family. We can use Koto to forget Mom, or to make Mom forget about Kotori's death. Before I knew it, I had made my way to the abandoned factory. And still breathing heavily, I stepped inside. Koto?
スバル。
I stepped inside the abandoned factory and called out into the pitch black darkness, and Koto's cheerful voice echoed back. Even though the bell rings twice a day, which must be wearing her out, she happily runs over to me.
スバル、どうしたの？忘れ物？
No, I just got a little worried about you, Koto. I'm the type of person who blurts out whatever comes to mind on the spot. I noticed, but to be honest, I wasn't really sure myself why I had come here.
そう、嬉しいよ、スバル。
Koto.
今日はちょっと心細かったから、スバルが来てくれてとっても嬉しい。スバル？
I found myself hugging her without even realizing it. The fact that she relied on me, the fact that she needed me, was unbearably precious to me.
今日のスバル、ちょっと変。
You might be right. Sorry, Koto.
うんうん、いいよ。コトはスバルが好きだからいいんだよ。
I see. Koto, thank you. Holding Koto tightly in my arms, I still myself. I made a firm resolution to do everything in my power to help Koto, who was suffering from the sound of the bell. And the next day after school, I revealed my plan to my friends gathered at the abandoned factory. So I'm thinking of breaking the bell in the bell tower.
は？お前、それマジで言ってんのか？
I'm that serious. Actually, that's the only solution I can think of. Smash the bell in the bell tower. That was the plan I come up with. Well, to be honest, I don't really have any plans to speak of. No matter what, I have to find a way to climb to the top of the bell tower and find a way to destroy the bell. That's all there is to it. If the bell keeps ringing like this, Koto will just keep getting weaker and weaker. But I can't exactly ask them to stop the bell. After all, I can't talk about this. There's no way they agree to a request like this if I didn't mention Koto's existence. Even if I managed to come up with a plausible excuse, I had no idea how long it would take to do it the conventional way. I just can't bear to see you suffer any longer.
だから 壊すの。鐘を。
Unless there's some other good way to go. Unless there's some other good way to keep that bell from ringing, that is.
それは、ちょっとすぐには思いつきませんけど。スバルお兄ちゃん、本気なの？
Of course I'm serious. I'd love for everyone to help out if possible, but I can't exactly force you to. So if anyone's willing to help, please step forward. If no one does, I do it myself, even if I'm the only one.
スバルか。
Character development for the main character who is a dickhead since episode 1. Wow. I know, I sound like I'm talking nonsense, but the fact is, if I don't take a chance, we will never break out of this situation. Koto is tormented by the sound of the bell ringing twice a day and is growing weaker by the day. Jeez. There's not a moment to spare. If we don't do something about this today or tomorrow, things will...
よし、俺はその話に乗るぜ。俺たち、ここで誓っただろ？一人はみんなのために、みんなは一人のためにってさ。今こそその誓いを果たす時じゃねえのか？なあみんな。
そうだったよね。私もやる。
どうも。
わかりました。ならば、私もお付き合いいたします。姫だって、ことちゃんを守りたいもん。
ミコね、姫。In the end, everyone agreed to take part in the plan. I've never felt so reassured by the presence of my friends as I did at that moment.
それで、具体的にはどうやって計画を実行するんだ？
Yeah, you're right. First we have to climb to the top of the bell tower where the bell in question is.
姫、そこまで登ったことあるよ。本当ですか？あの塔が完成する前に一度だけ、パパと一緒に見学に行った時にね。でも、あの塔って関係者以外立ち入り禁止じゃ。そっか。姫ちゃんのお父さんは鐘付き塔の建設にお金を出したんだもんね。
そのせいでことがひどい目に遭ってんだけどな。
そんなこと言われても。
Don't worry about it. Hime isn't at fault at all, and her dad isn't either.
スバルお兄ちゃん、ありがとう。
No one could have imagined this would happen, especially anyone other than us, who didn't even know Koto existed. So Hime, how did you climb all the way up to the top of the bell tower?
あの塔には裏口があって、そこから中に入ったよ。裏口の扉を開けたら、すぐに狭い階段があって、そこをぐるぐる回りながら上に登っていったの。
At the back entrance of the tower, there's a staircase that winds its way up. I guess you call it a spiral staircase.
今もあの時と仲が変わってないなら、裏口さえ開けば、姫たちでも一番上まで行けると思うな。
I see. So the problem is the key to that back door. I wonder where on earth the key to the back door of the bell tower is. I don't know at this point how they are going to wrap up episode 4. Like, there's so much in the past that they have to cover, so this has to be the biggest episode in that case. Even if I found out where it was, would I be able to get it out safely?
裏口の鍵ですけど、なんとかなるかもしれませんよ。
Miko, do you know where the key is?
いいえ、鍵の場所は知りません。でも、鍵の代わりになるものなら、心当たりがあります。
A replacement for the key?
コトちゃんですよ。
Koto, as a replacement for the key? In response to Mikane's words, everyone's attention to Koto, who was lying on the mat, resting. Koto was sitting up, tilting her head to one side with her usual puzzled expression.
コトちゃんは背中から羽を生やしたり、髪の毛を伸ばして 自由に動かしたりできるでしょ。姫を助けてくれた時のあの不思議な力のことだよね。そうです。特に髪の毛を伸ばして動かせるなら、鍵穴から髪を差し込んでちょこっといじくれば。あ、わかった。ピッキングっていうのだね。そう、それです。どうでしょう、ことちゃん、できそうですか？やってみる。
I don't know how much she understood, but after thinking for a moment, Koto nodded. So if that works out, all we have to do is climb up and destroy the bell.
でも、あの鐘ってかなりでかいよな。爆弾でもないとぶっ壊せねえんじゃねえの？
鐘自体を壊さなくても、鐘を鳴らすための機械仕掛けをなんとかすれば、当分鐘は鳴らなくなると思うの。
I see. I guess the bell could probably be repaired if it was just cracked normally, but given its size, I couldn't exactly carry it out. Come to think of it, it would certainly be quicker to fix the mechanical part that rings the bell. I don't know what the future holds, but for now the priority was to stop the bell, even if only temporarily. Alright, let's go with that plan.
で、いつ実行する？
The sooner the better. How about midnight tonight?
いろいろと急な話ですが、事態は一刻を争いますものね。わかった。じゃあ今から急いで準備しないと。よーし、姫も頑張っちゃうんだから。
And so, it was decided that the plan to destroy the bell in the bell tower would be carried out at midnight tonight. Koto, just hang in there a little longer. We will definitely stop that bell.
ありがとう、スバル。ありがとう、みんな。
Koto, her face clearly showing her exhaustion, still managed to smile at us. After that, at night fell. Everyone went home once they were sure that the bell's ringing had stopped, triggering Koto's seizures. And when it came to carry out the plan, we decided that everyone would bring their own equipment for breaking the bell. Alright, everyone's here.
おうよ。
時国都、ここに。姫もいるよー。
It was midnight that day. Under the cold winter sky, 6 people had sneaked out of their homes and gathered in front of the bell tower. So I went to pick everyone up at the abandoned factory, and then we all met up here. The goal is the bell tower right in front of you, to destroy it, so that the bell at the top doesn't ring. That was the only way to save Koto from the torment of the bell's toll. So everyone, did you bring the tools to break the bell? Just to make sure everyone's gear is in order, we take turns showing each other the tools we have brought. I bought the metal bat I had at home.
俺は店の厨房からパクってきたフライパン。包丁にしようかどうか迷ったんだけどな。
No, a kitchen knife is definitely too dangerous.
俺もそう思ったからこっちにしたんだよ。
That was a pretty wise decision for Kyo. Besides, the blunt object seems like the better choice for breaking a bell, so I think that's the right decision. A metal bat and a large frying pan, huh? Those should work just fine as makeshift hammers. Tomo, what is that box?
お父さんの工具セットを借りてきたの。ドライバーとかスパナとかいろいろ入ってるから。
But we also have to make sure not make the bell ring a little bit, because that could fail towards Koto. I see. If we are going to break the bell ringing mechanism, something like that would probably come in handy.
でもこれすごく重たくて、もう持てない。
I'll bring it over later. I recently started to see Tomo in a new light, realizing she was actually pretty reliable, but when it came to this, she was still the same old Tomo. So, Mikone, was that?
知りませんか？これは語幣といって、神事のお祓いなどに使うものですよ。
Well, I've seen things like that before, but what exactly are we supposed to do about it?
計画がうまくいくようお祈りします。
That's really kind of you. However, it was practically useless. By the way, Miko, can you use heal or something?
ホイミ？何ですかそれ？
Oh, I guess you don't know after. If this were an RPG, Mikone would probably be the priestess type. However, since Mikone apparently has never played video games, this kind of joke went completely over her head.
ホイミ。アルミホイルと何か関係が？
Sorry, don't worry about it. Could it be that Mikone is actually a bit of a space cadet? But I really didn't want to realize this at a time like this. What did Hime bring?
ナイフとフォークです。
So, what are you planning to eat?
なんとこれ純銀製だって。すごいでしょう。
Wow, that's amazing. Is that so? It's true that silver items are powerful in RPGs and the like, but I felt like they were way too weak to break a bell. Well, at least we have checked everyone's gear now. Hime aside, I didn't expect Mikone to be like that though. Well, I guess that's about it. I don't know what the top of the bell tower is like, so I might as well climb up first and then go back down to get what I need. If I could just get it done before dawn without anyone noticing, I still have plenty of time until then. Alright, let's head up to the tower right away. I don't think anyone will be around, but try to be as quiet as possible. Okay, this wasn't as rapey. Everyone's quietly cheered. 6 of us will try to break in through the back door. Following Hime's lead, we went around to the back of the bell tower and arrived at the door there. So this is the place. Alright, Koto, I'm counting on you.
頑張る。
As originally planned, I asked Koto to unlock the door. Just like when I saved Hime before, she let her hair grow long and long. Long and thick, probably. A strand of her long flowing hair slipped smoothly into the keyhole of the door. Damn, tangled. What do you think, Koto? Do you think you got this?
なんとなく。
Just a hunch. I wonder if there's any substance to it or not. Oh, I just heard a click.
なんか中で動いた。扉開けてみましょうか。
I nodded, grabbed the handle and gave it a careful turn. Alright, the door's open.
わあ、ことちゃんすごーい。
Hime, since her praise, made Koto look a little embarrassed. And so we slipped through the door and finally stepped inside the bell tower. Oh, it's pitch black in here. I better turn on my flashlight. I flipped the switch on the flashlight I brought with me. Hopefully we're not getting a pantsu shot. Suddenly a wall appeared right in front of me. It felt like there was a wall the moment I opened the door. Whoa, a dead end right off the bat?
スバルくん、ほら横。 階段があるみたい。
Oh, I see. So we are going up this way. Just how big is this tower? So this is what Hime meant by the narrow staircase. It appears that the staircase winds its way upward along the walls of the tower, which is shaped like a square pillar, turning several corners along the way. With this, I should be able to make it all the way to the top floor without getting lost. Damn, I'm salivating from yapping so much. Alright, let's climb. I took the lead and started climbing the stairs. Since it was narrow, we all lined up in a single file to go up. Line, I guess. By the way, the order was always me. Koto, Kyo, Tomo, Hime, and Mikona at the back. The tower is about as tall as a 3 or 4-story apartment building. When you think about it that way, it's actually not that tall. Since the stairs just go round and round along the wall, it's actually felt like a quite long way. Still, it wasn't long before we reached the summit. Damn! We are here. Looks like this is the top. At the end of the stairs, I came to a small room that looked like a storage shed. I think we need like a ladder or something, no? I glanced around briefly to check what's going on inside. The room had open walls on all 4 sides, with pillars at each corner supporting the ceiling. And hanging from that ceiling is a bell so large that a person could easily hide inside it. So this is our target, the bell containing a meteorite, the very thing that caused Koto so much trouble. In addition to that, there was some kind of mechanical device installed in a spot that couldn't be seen from the outside. This must be a device for ringing the bell. If you look closely, it seems to be connected to the bell through the ceiling. So this bell was tormenting Koto. Well, Koto, do you feel anything?
別に何も。
As they chatted about this and that, the two of them looked up at the bell. Other than the fact that it's quite large, there's nothing particularly unusual about it. Koto seems perfectly calm. She doesn't appear to have any symptoms like getting distressed just from being approached. Well, what should we do now?
くそ。やっぱこの鐘そのものを壊すのは難しいか。
It's a bit small for that. At least you couldn't do it with a metal bat or a frying pan, right? Besides, if I hit too hard, the bell might ring and Koto might get upset. Maybe I should go ahead and break the bell ringing mechanism after all. Looking at it, the mechanical parts of the device were exposed and it seemed relatively easy to break it. Alright, let's just go ahead and smash the machine first.
待って。少し調べさせてもらってもいい？どうせ壊しちゃうのに何を調べるの？適当に壊してもすぐに治っちゃうかもしれないから、構造を調べれば一番壊すべきところもわかると思って。なるほど。前から思ってましたけど、ともちゃんは頭がいいんですね。そんなことないけど。
No, Miko's right. Tomo is actually pretty smart. Her grades were top-notch in every subject except physical education, and it turned out she was actually pretty good at art and crafts too. But since she's so shy and reserved, I didn't realize it until we got to know each other better. Alright, I leave this to you, Tomo. Now that we are this far, I don't think we have to worry about anyone spotting us, but please hurry up.
頑張ってみる。
When I handed her the tool set, I've been holding on to, Tomo nodded with a rare sense of enthusiasm. And while Tomo was examining the machine, I casually looked out at the open air. The moon looks really clear tonight. The clear winter night sky stretched high and clear as far as the eye could see. The crisp air seems to make everything look clearer, and I feel like I can see farther into the distance. Looking at it this way, this tower might actually seem pretty tall. Most of Matsuzawa City is flat with few obstacles, and you can even see the horizon from here. Well, I guess that's why the sound of the bell here echoes throughout the town. Huh? Did I just hear something? Just then I heard a flapping sound as if wings were beating. Thinking maybe a bird had flown by, I turned my head toward the sound. What the fuck is that jump scare fucking shit? I got jump scared in a... What? What was there wasn't a bird at all. It was a monstrous creature with wings that resembled those of a bat more than a bird. A giant single eye, a belly swollen like a gourd, and on that belly a pattern that looks like a face. No, that's not just a pattern. Does it really have a mouth on its belly? Am I dreaming or something? There's no way a monster like that could exist in this world. Especially I did not know that like I could get a jump scare in a fucking visual novel. By the way, his tits are his eyes. That alone, flying straight over the top of this bell tower. My memories got wiped. Before I could even let out a cry of surprise, the monster reached out its arm toward me. Bending like a giant serpent, that arm is coming straight toward me. I tried to step back and fell on my butt, but that actually allowed me to dodge the arm that was reaching out at me. Well, to be precise, it only grazed my face. A sharp burning sensation shot through my cheek. Blood? The outstretched arm struck the wall inside the bell tower's summit head-on and sank deep, deep into it. What the?
何が起こったの？
なんだよこの長いの。どっから伸びて。
飛んでる？何あれ？化け物？来た。
Here they come. What the fuck? My companions also noticed the strange figure floating outside, and one by one their faces twisted in horror. Horror, I don't know why I didn't pronounce the R or H. And that monstrosity approached us, flapping its bat-like wings as if gliding along its outstretched arm.
よっこらせった。
When the monster reaches the top of the tower, it forces its massive body through the open section and into the tower. There was something almost humorous about the scene, but no one said a word. Faced with this nightmarish scene that suddenly appeared out of nowhere, everyone was too terrified to speak. But this isn't some kind of dream. I was the first one to see him, so I realized what was going on right away. I felt a stinging pain on my cheek where his arm had grazed it, and I could feel blood slowly seeping out. The pain and bleeding served as a stark reminder that this was real.
やあ、みんな、こんばんは。いい夜だね。
By the way, this is the same voice actor who voices my father.
喋った。
Kyo, sitting next to me, let out a strained whisper as the monster casually struck up a conversation with us. Everyone else is still too stunned to speak, just staring intently at the monster in front of them.
ああ、少し驚かせてしまったかな。まあ、こんな姿じゃ無理もないか。こう狭い場所だと、このままじゃ窮屈だしね。よし、少し待っておくれよ。
The monster, shattering away, undergoes an even more astonishing transformation. Suddenly, his massive body transformed into a featureless, flat shape like a clay sculpture. An amoeba? Then, as if by some invisible force, it began to shrink rapidly, getting smaller and smaller. No way.
嘘。
マジかよ。
まさか、スバルくんが、スバルお兄ちゃんが、もう一人。
Yeah, just when I thought it had shrunk to about our size, it looked exactly like me. It feels like I'm caught in an eerie illusion, as if the person in the mirror is moving on their own. Between the monster I saw earlier and what's happening now, I'm just left speechless by all these utterly surreal events.
さて、これで話がしやすくなったかな。それじゃ質問だ。君たちはこんなところで何をしてるのかな？
That thing, which looked just like me, addressed me in a pretentious tone that didn't seem at all like a monster's. But of course, no one answers that question. The problem wasn't the content of the question, but the person asking it.
おや？だんまりかい。じゃ、当ててみせよっか。
What? Oramodoki shrugged and said that with a look of sheer delight on his face.
ズバリ君たちはここにある鐘を壊しに来たんだろ？
What?
なんでそれを？てめえ、何者なんだよ！
He guessed it right away, and I was completely thrown off balance. Kyo finally let out a scream and confronted the guy. Seeing us like that, the fake me gave a little chuckle.
なぜわかったのか不思議か？それはな、俺も目的が同じだからだよ。
We have the same goal? What do you mean by that? I muttered that without thinking, but he ignored me and looked away. And where his gaze fell.
ようやく会えた。俺と同族のやつにな。
同族何それってどういう意味？まさかそんな。
何言ってんだよ。てめえとコトが同じはずねえだろうが。
Faced with such a bombshell, even everyone else couldn't stay silent and began speaking up one after another. But for some reason, I was the only one who found his words strangely convincing. Koto, who looks exactly like my little sister, a monstrous creature that has transformed into my exact likeness. The ability to grow fairy-like wings and extend one's hair, a monster that grows bat wings and extends its arm. Coinciding signs, similar mysterious powers, and the reason I came here. I guess that monster was right. Koto and that guy are...
しかし、一つどうしてもわからないことがある。お前はなぜ人間と一緒に行動してるんだ？
Why? Because we are Koto's friends, that's why.
仲間？人間が俺たちと仲間だと？笑わせてくれる。俺たちにとって人間は餌でしかないのによ。
餌だと？
そうさ。お前らは餌だ。俺たちにとって一番美味しい栄養の詰まった食べ物。
じゃああなたは人を食べるのですか？
ああ、もう何人も人間を食ってやった。ここには餌がよりどりみどりだからな。
なんてこと違うよ。コトちゃん。スバルたちはコトの仲間だよ。
This is like Inuyashiki. If you guys saw that anime where like there's a, I don't know what, like an alien substance was it, who divided like two people into like a bad and a good android, and this is kind of like that unfolding. Goto stated this matter of factly yet clearly. That's right, Goto and that guy aren't the same. They might be of the same kind, but they are definitely not the same.
おいおい、何言ってんだよ。俺たちは人食いだろ。人を食いたいという本能がお前にもあるはずだぞ。
そんなのない。
バカな。そんなはずあるものか。お前からは確かに同族の反応を感じた。つまりお前は俺と同じはず。人を食わないわけがないんだよ。
ことは人を食べたりなんてしない。ただみんなと一緒にいたいだけ。
そうだそうだ、お前みたいな化け物とコトを一緒にすんじゃねえ。
だよね、コトちゃんは姫たちの仲間だもんね。
For once, Q and Hime are on the same page, and the two of them rally behind Koto. It's settled. Koto is different from this guy, and this guy too. This guy who casually admits to eating people is our enemy.
なんだよ。お前、なんで人間なんかの肩を持つんだ。気に食わねえ。気に食わねえんだよ。
He screamed as if throwing a tantrum, then shifted shape once again from his form, which looked just like me. It inverted to the monstrous form it had when it first appeared. What? And without a moment's hesitation, he reaches out toward us. Huh? However, the attack didn't hit us. It struck the bell ringing mechanism instead. The exposed machinery has been destroyed, and the bell has fallen from the ceiling to the floor.
これでここに来た目的は果たした。
I see, so that's why he came here, to stop this bell from ringing. So that means Koto and this guy are basically the same kind of person after all.
さてと。じゃあついでに食事もしていこうか。
The monster said that and looked over at us. Beside me, Tomo let out a small scream. He said himself that he eats people, so when he talks about food here, he means us. The moment I realized that, I was overcome by a primal fear of being devoured. No, I don't want to be eaten. I don't want to die.
やめて。
Koto! Just then, Koto stepped forward and stood in front of us, as if to shield us. Our lives were hanging by a thread on that tiny back.
お願い、スバルたちをいじめないで。
はっ、お前は本当に人間の味方だとでも言うのか。どうかしてるぜ、本当によ。
もうやることは済んだんでしょ。このまま帰って。
はっ、やだね。そう言われるとますますこいつらを食ってやりたくなってきたぜ。
It's coming at me. Once again, the monster's arm stretched out like a snake. And this time, there's no doubt about it. Those hands with their sharp claws are coming for us.
させない。
Then the figure standing before us twirled around, as if dancing, her hair falling out behind her. Her hair, which had grown far longer than she was tall, flow through the air as if it were a living creature of its own. Damn! Koto's hair intercepted the arm of the man who had flown toward her like an arrow. The tips of her hair transforms into sharp blades, deflecting the enemy's sharp claws.
貴様、本気で人間をかばうつもりか？
みんなは傷つけさせないことが守るから。
Koto muttered to herself, then quietly closed her eyes. Then signs of another change began to appear.
すごい綺麗、妖精さんみたい。
Two pairs of wings spreading out from her back. I don't think Hime has ever looked at me like this before. Unlike his, her semi-transparent shimmering wings, which looked like flower petals, grew directly out of her clothes.
こと。
コトちゃん、コトちゃん、やっぱりあなたの。
An enemy capable of shifting into various forms. It was the same power that Koto possessed. Does she have a monster form though? But now Koto is trying to use that power to protect us.
コト、みんなを守るよ。絶対に。
Then, with wings sprouting from her body, she floats gently into the air and charges headlong at the monster.
こいつ、そんな小さななりで何を？
Bitch slap! My true ultimate weapon. Koto charged straight at the monster and flew out of the tower through the open section.
ここなら広いし、安心。みんなを傷つけない。
へっ、上等だ。じゃあお前から食ってやるや。
Koto and the monster face off against each other, floating in the moonlit night sky. Soon a battle between two non-human beings begins. Damn! Someone animate this. Koto's hair and her arms stretch out and cross paths like flashes of light. The aerial battles racing across the night sky at high speed seem almost otherworldly. A creature that spreads its butterfly-like wings and dances across the night sky, flapping its bat-like wings as it flies. It was just like a battle between fairies and demons. Go for it, Koto! Don't give up, Koto!
コトちゃん、私たちのために、
Sorry. And all we can do is watch. Koto lured him into aerial combat to protect us. So what should we do?
畜生なんとかことを助けられないのかよ。
私たちは空を飛べませんし、あんなすごいスピードで飛び回られては、迂闊に援護することもできません。
Damn it. So I really have no choice but to just watch from here. The option of running away and leaving things behind was never on the table for us from the start. But just standing here watching Koto fight was no different from running away. Is there anything we can do? I look around, racking my brain. Suddenly my gaze fell on a bell that had fallen from the ceiling to the floor in the middle of the room. I'm pretty sure that monster said it came here for the same reason we did. In other words, to destroy the bell, which means that monster must also be vulnerable to the sound of this bell. He said he and Koto were of the same race, so I'm pretty sure that's correct. So if I ring that bell, will it damage him? But it also will damage Koto, you dickhead. No wait, that would hurt Koto too, finally. Feeling completely stuck, I looked up at the sky where I could see a monster fighting. Koto, so there's really nothing we can do about this, is there? Did he just look over here? Did she? At that moment, I felt as if our eyes had met for just a second. It might just be a coincidence. She probably just happened to glance over here. There's no way she could possibly know what I'm thinking right now. But the look in her eyes just now seemed as if she was trying to convey something through eye contact. Driven by my own wild speculation, I stood beside the bell, a metal bat in one hand. Then, as if preparing to swing a bat, I look over at Koto and the others once more. Her eyes met again. Those eyes seemed to understand exactly what I was about to do. I mean, sorry if I got that wrong, but I believe in Koto. I steered myself, gripped the metal bat with both hands once more, and swung it up in a split stance.
スバルお兄ちゃん、何してるの？スバルくん、まさか。
Instead of telling,
そうか、その金なら。でも。
こら、スバル！てめえ、何を！
it seemed like everyone else figured out right away what I was about to do. Kyo tried frantically to stop me, but before he could, I... Ready? Go! I smashed the bell with all my might, using a bat. The sound of the bell boomed out, sending a jolt through my ears as if they'd been pricked by a needle. But the monster in the air reacted even more strongly. Koto? He seemed to be clutching his head in agony, clearly caught completely off guard by the shock, a moment that must have taken the monster completely by surprise. Of course, the same would have been true for Koto too. Although Koto looked like she was in pain, she managed to regain her footing before the monster did. The damage is probably the same. But Koto had figured out what I was planning to do, so she was mentally prepared. I guess that's probably true. And that difference made a decisive impact on how quickly they were able to bounce back. As she flapped the wings on her back, Koto's long hair flowed gracefully into the night sky. Her long hair swayed like a whip, transforming into a sharp blade. It pierced right through the enemy's massive body. The monster, impaled on Koto's hair, loses momentum and falls downward. And then he was slammed into the ground. But just before that happened, he flapped his bat wings and soared back into the night sky. Now, is he coming right at us? The monster's voice was clearly laced with anger as it glared at Koto and us. Damn it, I couldn't finish him off with that. The same trick probably won't work a second time, and considering the damage it would cause, I can't go any further than this. What's more, the monster is furious, and who knows what kind of crazy things it might do. Just when I thought that, the enemy's voice suddenly shifted from one trembling with rage to an eerie, mocking chuckle.
ほんと、やってくれたよ。ここまで歯ごたえがある獲物は初めてだ。この俺と同族のくせに人間を守ろうとする小娘。それに人間じゃないものを仲間と呼んで助ける人間か。
The monster spoke with genuine enthusiasm. Was he just putting on a brave face, or...
いいだろう。今日のところは見逃してやる。だが次は必ずお前たちを全員食ってやるからな。いいか、覚えておけよ。そして次に会う時までいつか食われる恐怖に怯えながら過ごすがいい。
Could it be that we survived, or he survived? Leaving behind what sounded like a declaration of war, the enemy flew off. I just stood there, watching in a daze, praying that they wouldn't change their mind and come back. Eventually, just as the enemy disappeared from the view, we all slumped down to the ground without anyone giving the signal. Phew, that was close.
もう大丈夫だよね。私たち助かったんだよね。
Well, for now anyway.
怖かったよ。よしよし。姫ちゃんもよく泣かずに我慢しましたね。偉かったですよ。
Everyone seemed to finally relax, realizing that the crisis had passed. I never in a million years thought it would turn out like this.
みんな大丈夫？
Koto, are you sure you're okay?
平気。
Koto smiled faintly and folded her wings back against her back. But the moment it folded its wings, it swayed violently. Instinctively, I spread my arms wide and caught Koto's tiny body. Oh, that was close. Koto, are you really okay?
大丈夫。羽をしまってすぐにバランスが取れなかっただけ。
She muttered weakly, yet still tried to stand on her own. I wanted to tell her not to push herself, but in the end, she managed to stand on her own feet.
もう平気だから。それよりみんなは？
Thanks to Koto, everyone's safe. Before I could finish speaking, a first suddenly flew at me from the side. Fist. It came as a complete surprise, so I was more shocked and stunned than I was in pain from the punch. What are you doing?
そりゃこっちのセリフだ。てめえこそ何してくれてんだ。
It was Kyo who punched me without a word. Even though everyone managed to get out safely for some reason, he's really angry.
なんであの時鐘を鳴らしたりしたんだよ。あんなことしたらコトが苦しむって知ってるだろ。
That is... He hit a nerve and I was at a loss for words. No, you weren't. You know exactly that Koto told you. I definitely think the sound of the bell caused quite a big damage to Koto back then. I don't usually make a big deal out of things, but after all, even that monster let out a blood-curdling scream.
ここんとこ毎日コトが鐘の音で発作を起こしてるのを見てないのか。あんなに苦しんでることを見てたらあんなことできないだろうが。
キョウくん、やめなさい。あの時スバルくんがああしなかったら私たちはあの化け物に食べられてたかもしれないのよ。
そんなのわかんねえじゃねえか。あのままやっててもコトが勝ったかもしれないだろ。
そうね。でも逆にコトちゃんが負けてたかもしれない。それともコトちゃんがあの化け物にやられちゃってから。
It's okay, Miko. I don't know if my decision back then was right one either.
でもやだ。
Huh?
みんな喧嘩しちゃやだ。
コト、お前
コトちゃんの言う通りだよ。せっかく助かったのに喧嘩なんて。それにあいつまた来るって言ってた。姫たちのこと食べに来るって。
No, shut the fuck up, please. That's right. This wasn't the time for us to be fighting amongst ourselves. I bet that guy is going to attack us again. If he does, we will be able to fight him off like we did this time. No. Now that things have come to this, we won't have a peaceful life until we take him down. What are we going to do now?
どうすればいいんでしょうね。とりあえず当初の目的だけは果たせましたけど。
Saying that, Mikone looked around at the devastation. A smashed up mechanical device, a bell that fell from the ceiling, and to top it off, there are cracks and dents here and there on the wall. Thanks to that monster destroying the bell ringing mechanism, Koto won't have to put up with the sound of the bell for a while. But she's no different. She will probably take even more proactive action than before. Or he, I don't know.
さっきの怪物が言ってたでしょ。もう何人も人間を食べたって。
I'm not really sure if that's true though.
それってもしかしてこの町の連続失踪事件のことなんじゃないかな。
A series of disappearances? You mean that thing where people are going missing left and right, leaving behind only their luggage and clothes? Come to think of it, I heard there haven't been any incidents lately. Is that because that monster was weakened by the sound of the bell?
じゃあこれからはまた以前のように行方不明者が増えるんでしょうか。あの化け物に食べられて。
That's definitely a possibility. What's more, the prime suspects in the disappearance were us, right here.
やだ、あの怪物に食べられちゃうなんて、やだよ。
So frightened, Selena began to sob quietly. I don't think she can sob quietly. She can only sob loudly. So this is what he meant by living in constant fear of being devoured one day. Or she. Even though no one else says it out loud, I'm sure they must be absolutely terrified. I'm scared too. I'm scared of being eaten myself. But what really scared me was the thought that everyone else might get eaten.
大丈夫だから。
What?
ことが守るから。みんなのこと、絶対に。ことちゃん。
In her own way, she did her best to cheer us up. I was happy to hear that, but it still didn't ease my anxiety. So we decided to call it a night for the time being. Then, when I got home and was alone, I thought about that monster and was terrified all over again. That monster who declared humans are food. It vowed to devour us all. Just as Tomo said, if he's the one behind a series of disappearances in this town. If that's the case, there's no way the police who know nothing about it could catch the culprit. After all, we're dealing with a monster that can change its form. The next morning, I hadn't slept much the night before, which was tough, but I headed to school anyway. I thought it would be safer at school where there are more people than staying at home. On my way to school, as I passed by the bell tower, a group of adults had gathered there and were making a commotion. He must have realized pretty quickly that the bell in the clock tower was broken. Well, we really went at it last night. At this rate, it doesn't look like we will be able to go inside. The bell itself might even be removed for repairs. That means the threat to Koto is gone, but on the flip side, it also means we have lost our means of fighting that monster. Given the current situation, I couldn't exactly rejoice at that. So about what's going to happen from here on out.
どうすんだよ。 本当に。
The three of us got together to discuss what to do next. Tomo and Kyo were both at school too, if they were both thinking the same thing as me.
やっぱり警察に行った方がいいんじゃないかな。ことちゃんのことだけ隠しておいて、あとは全部事情を話して助けてもらうの。
でもよ、あんな化け物のこと警察が信じてくれると思うか？
Well, I do have a lead, but
当て？当てってなんだよ。
actually my dad's a detective, and it looks like he was investigating those serial disappearances.
え？それマジかおい。
そうだったんだ。知らなかった。
We are going to sneak into the police office. That's why, if you tell Dad what's going on, even if he doesn't believe you, the police might be able to do something about it. Of course, the understanding is that we will keep this a secret.
よし、それで行こうぜ。他にいい案なんて思いつかねえし、もうことにあんな化け物と戦ってほしくねえしな。
Kyo, I felt the same way. No, I'm sure that was how all of us felt. We just want to be with Koto and our friends. So we decided to talk things over after school with Mikohime and Koto. If the police could do something about it, I wouldn't have to fight that monster. Even though the enemy is a monstrous beast, I believe that if it's the police, if it's Dad, he will surely find a way to handle it.
スバルたち大丈夫かな。
Okay, so I'm going to leave it off here. I thought that I have like 10 minutes, but apparently this episode we are probably going to end with defeating this monster, and probably something will happen to our memory, to Koto. I don't know, but this was probably the longest episode, I ain't gonna lie. Even like I always say that, and to be honest, it's always the longest episode when I say it. I just have to cut stuff, and because of that, it ends up being probably shorter. But thank you guys for watching, and obviously, like, part 15 must be the final part, especially if I'm going to make a episode as long as this, or a part as long as this. So, but you know what, who knows, maybe, because this is the end of like the first half of the common route, so it might be the longest one. But I think we are going to go inside the detective's house, and then we figure out a plan, so it probably be as long as this episode was, or part. So thank you guys for watching, and I see you guys in the next episode. Ciao now.